This year's primary election has already seen record turnout despite the problems caused by COVID-19, but we are still waiting for a lot of results. Here to talk about those early numbers, Jason Perry, the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics. Jason, thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
Glad to be with you.
We're excited to have you. So, COVID-19 has dramatically changed the way we voted this year. It means we don't have results yet. Can we walk through viewers through that process? When should we have those final results?
Well, no longer than 3 weeks from now, which
Okay.
is so long. What you said is right. The COVID-19 experience has changed everything from how the campaigns were run to how we know who the winner is going to be. Our legislature passed a few laws during the legislative session to impact that. They did a couple things that changed. One is they made it so that you could postmark your ballots by the day of the election. It used to be the day before, which means we have a whole lot of ballots that came in yesterday that we just don't know. The legislature also extended the period of time for the county clerks to do their canvassing, to certify the results, and they moved it from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, which means we may have a little while to wait before the results are actually known by all of us. We do know a lot from last night, which we can talk about, but it's going to be hard to wait.
And by verifying those votes, you mean checking those signatures against the signatures that are on file?
Yeah, exactly what they're doing. They have to certify. They look at all the ballots that came in. They make sure they're all appropriate, they're counted right, and then they can start releasing them. We got a bunch of them last night. If people are wondering where those came from, that's about 392,000 ballots were already processed by yesterday, which is about 26% of the active voters, which is a huge number already. That's more than the ballots that were cast in the primary in 2014 and 2016. So that's a good number already.
Definitely. Well, we've got a major race this year. The headliner race is that Republican primary for governor. So, we're definitely seeing that impact voter turnout. So what are you seeing so far in terms of voter turnout?
Well, this is a record primary turnout already. As I was mentioning, this 392,000 ballots was a huge number to be counted before we even finished. But what is interesting also is the participation from people that had not really voted much in the past, over 14,000 brand new registered voters. But the most interesting thing is how people were affiliating with their parties.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party got over 70,000, about 72,000 brand new members of the Utah Republican Party that voted in this primary. About 10,000 of those came from the Democrats, but about 45,000 of those came from unaffiliated voters in the state of Utah. What you said is right. This was an amazing turnout. People are engaged in a way that we have not seen in the state of Utah really in recent memory.
Right. So just a reminder for viewers there, this was a closed Republican primary, meaning that only Republicans could participate. But as you just mentioned, Democrats and independents definitely didn't let that stop them. But it seems like you're seeing a lot of new voters, too, kind of hopped on bandwagon this year for the first time.
Oh, we did, without question. A lot of people registering to vote for the first time. And what's interesting is we talk about the impacts of COVID-19 on this election. It's true that it impacted how the elections occurred, but it also motivated Utahns in a significant way. They are worried about the leaders and who's going to lead us next out of this pandemic. We're about the economy, about their jobs. And I think that a lot of those issues have really driven people to participate. And of course, this is the first time we've had all mail-in balloting on top of that. That has made it just so amazingly easy for people to participate.
Right. I think in lots of areas of life, working from home, it's forced a lot of companies to try that out. In terms of mail-in ballots, it's kind of forced our country, our state, to try out mail-in voting. Do you feel like this is going to impact future elections moving forward?
Oh, it will for sure. The mail-in balloting, I think Utah has been leading the way in the country, even though there's some parts of the country and some elected officials that get all worried about that. Utah has been leading the way. I think that is how things are going to be done in Utah for a very long time. I think that is the going forward plan for the state. It is just so convenient and it is so safe. And what we've seen right now is people really do want to be part of the process. And I think we should make it as easy as possible.
You mentioned there that mail-in voting is so safe. Can we touch on that a little bit? There's been a little bit of contention surrounding mail-in voting. Why are you so confident in mail-in voting?
Well, because Utah's been doing it for such a long time. People talking about how they can make it safe. Our county clerks have spent a lot of time making sure that the process is safe and that it is secure. And we've been doing it for time after time. This is the first time we've done it all by mail, but every single election cycle that we've had so far where we've implemented vote by mail, our numbers have increased, and there's not been a single challenge to it. And everyone is watching it to make sure that it happens correctly. And really, It is just the model for the country. And even though we're going to hear about some of the elected officials around the country saying, I still don't like it, Utahns clearly do.
Definitely. All right, Jason Perry with the Hinckley Institute of Politics. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. We'll be following those numbers closely as they come in.
Thank you.